What's up, guys? This is Mr. Eldridge, and in today's lesson, we're going to look at early frontier culture of this early republic as we end Unit 3 today. So after the entrance of Russia into North America through its Alaskan settlement in the 18th century, Spain feared losing its monopoly on the Pacific coast. Spain began an aggressive settling program in what we know today as Alta California in the 1760s. Missions and forts such as those at San Diego as well as San Francisco were built along the coast to encourage and protect sparse Spanish settlements. Regarding American Indian interactions, Spanish Catholic monks ruthlessly converted, disciplined, and worked native Californians at these missions, very similar to that previous encomienda system that we discussed. To encourage Spanish settlers from what is now Mexico, Spain created a rancho policy. This policy granted an individual a free 14 acres of land so long as the plot remained cultivated and maintained. While not overwhelmingly successful, it did spur light Spanish settlement along the Pacific coastline. These programs are going to cause tension in this new frontier, if you will. Settlers often came in conflict with Native Americans as they often practiced common land leases, while white Americans practiced long-term private property. Going back to Unit 2 and our discussion on the differences between Native American policies in regards to land versus the common European thought. With little formal communication between the parties, between American Indians and settlers, the initiation of confrontations and violence in the name of personal safety were relatively common for both sides. As such, both legitimately feared the brutality of one another and the threat of sudden attack by either side on the frontier west of the Appalachian Mountains. Tensions were only compounded by the exponential increase of white settlers in the early 19th century to the southern and western frontier. So we need to segue now into look at what was George Washington's approach as American president towards Native Americans. Washington quickly formulated a policy to encourage the, quote, civilizing process, as he stated, of American Indians, which consisted of a 6-point plan. This plan included impartial justice towards American Indians, regulated buying of American Indian land, promotion of commerce, promotion of experiments to civilize or improve American Indian society, the requirement of presidential authority to confer gifts, and then finally, swift punishment for those who violated American Indian rights. While the United States would initially attempt to maintain this approach, it was quickly abandoned at the advent of pro-expansionism, specifically beginning with the presidency of Thomas Jefferson. Prior to the 1800 Jeffersonian expansionism fervor, the federal government attempted to pursue Washington's policy to outline with the passage of the so-called Indian Trade Intercourse Acts of 1790. This required Americans to obtain official permission and licensing to trade with American Indians. Also, any treaties with American Indians had to be approved by the United States Congress. The Indian Trade Intercourse Acts, however, were largely ignored by both sides, as the United States Army lacked the resources and the financial capability to enforce this policy. The Jeffersonian approach, as we are going to see, shifted from one of coexistence to one of aggressive assimilation of American Indian peoples and culture. His program was known as Americanization. The United States was more apt to pursue territorial expansion at the expense of American Indians, while also impressing American values, namely democracy, Christianity, agriculture, and private property. While some tribes accepted assimilation and flourished, others resisted territorial expansionism and Americanization by settlers, and the United States government. Finally, while many American Indians benefited from trade, particularly the fur trade, they often were paid in American money. With no private property practices, American Indians mostly chose to purchase arms for warfare and hunting. Once procured, however, many American Indians had little else to buy with their money. It became common to use this excess money to purchase whiskey, which at the time was extremely cheap, as excess grain was often fermented into whiskey because of its long shelf life. As such, many tribes, such as the Seneca tribe, fell into a cycle of alcoholism and depression. Some individuals rallied to combat the new plague of alcoholism, combining both Western ideals, such as Christianity, with American Indian culture and beliefs. The Seneca tribesman, Handsome Lake, blended Christian revivalism with American Indian animism to revitalize the Seneca tribe and aid successful assimilation. Throughout the 19th century, we are going to see the problems with alcoholism and depression throughout Native American tribes. Thank you so much for listening in today. If you have not hit that subscribe channel, thank you so much for paying attention to this video. If you have not hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so. Thank you so much, and you have a great day.